What I think is going to happen is that one day, probably before 2026, probably either late this year or in 2025, China will announce own X tons of gold. Our currency will be backed by the gold that our citizens hold. That doesn't mean it'll be convertible, but it'll be a gold-backed currency. Similarly, Russia actually owns north of 12,000 tons. Not the reported 1,200 tons approximate that the central bank owns. The bulk of the gold is owned by the company that sits above the central bank. And I think probably simultaneously, Russia will announce our oil will be priced in gold.
Simon Hunt, a noted expert in the field, underscores the significant gold reserves held by China, both in private and state capacities, alongside Russia's substantial gold reserves. Hunt further predicts that China may eventually support its currency with gold. Russia emerges as a crucial player, being the world's second-largest gold producer, with its miners eager to sell excess gold in international markets, particularly to Beijing. According to reports, Russia has been offering gold to China at a notable discount of up to 30%, leading to a 67% increase in gold transfers from Russia to China in 2022. Against the backdrop of persistent geopolitical tensions and economic weakness in China, the World Gold Council reports a surge in gold demand in 2023, with the People's Bank of China emerging as the largest buyer, adding 225 tons to its reserves, totaling 2,235 tons. The real estate crisis in China is further driving investors towards gold, leading to a 28% increase in investments in gold bars and coins, reaching 280 tons in the past year. Hunt underscores the BRICS Development Bank's significance as an alternative to traditional financial institutions like the IMF and World Bank, with China being a key player in this arena. The BRICS New Development Bank, established as a partial alternative to the World Bank, has approved over 90 projects worth $32 billion to support members' infrastructure. Strengthening the role of the New Development Bank will help achieve BRICS' national interests. In a notable development, the Arizona Senate Committee passed a bill to establish a specie-backed transactional currency and a state bullion depository. This depository would serve as a custodian for particular bullion and species that the state or its agencies could acquire. Hunt perceives Arizona's move as indicative of a potential shift towards states creating their financial ecosystems, as demonstrated by establishing a gold and silver depository where citizens can buy and sell these metals. Join us as we explore the insights shared by Simon Hunt. Stay updated by subscribing to our channel and activating notifications. Thank you.
What we're basically seeing through BRICS members wanting a multilateral world, not a unilateral world dominated by one country and one currency. You have a group of 10 countries. They don't all have the same policies, but they talk through their difficulties to come up with a policy that suits them all. And the power behind BRICS is the New Development Bank, which you could say is a combination of the IMF and the World Bank, which is located in Pudong, Shanghai, with their own skyscraper, a staff of about 300 plus, now run by the ex-president of Brazil, the lady, I've forgotten her name. And what we're seeing there is China, since the Shanghai Gold Exchange was opened in 2002, Chinese citizens, either households or financial institutions, have drawn approximately 23,000 tons of gold from the exchange. In addition to that, various ministries, including the PLA, own an approximate like amount. What I think is going to happen is that one day, probably before 2026, probably either late this year or in 2025, China will announce own X tons of gold. Our currency will be backed by the gold that our citizens hold. That doesn't mean it'll be convertible, but it'll be a gold-backed currency. Similarly, Russia actually owns north of 12,000 tons, not the reported 1,200 tons approximate that the central bank owns. The bulk of the gold is owned by the company that sits above the central bank. And I think probably simultaneously, Russia will announce our oil will be priced in gold, i.e., for every barrel of oil, it will be worth X grams of gold. Effectively, then you're saying the ruble is backed by gold. Interestingly, I just received a note this morning. Arizona has passed a law that they are opening a depository for gold and silver against which citizens can buy and sell gold and silver. So is this the start of individual states going against the federal government and setting up their own exchanges in the same way that Texas is refusing to follow federal government regulations over its border? And you have 25 other states backing Texas. Is this the start of a reconstruction of America? Question I can't answer. But it's certainly, it pits the real battle between the red and the blue states.
In 2022, Russians made a record-breaking purchase of gold bars, as confirmed by Finance Ministry data. The drive behind this trend was facilitated by tax cuts on precious metals, which incentivized individuals to acquire bullion as a reliable asset. A crucial factor in this surge was Moscow's decision to eliminate the 20% VAT on physical gold trades for individuals in March of the same year. This move aimed to divert people from using the US dollar as a haven. This led to a notable increase in the reserves of gold in Russia, which stood at $151.516 billion as of January 2024. Simon Hunt, an expert in the field, posits that Russia's actions could prompt other countries to reconsider the composition of their reserves. If this trend extends to a broader acceptance of gold-backed currencies internationally, it could reshape the balance of financial power between nations. Let's get back to the interview.
Gold comes back into the monetary system, whether America likes it or not. Once people see that the yuan is backed by gold, and effectively the ruble is backed by gold, and they've got the gold reserves, where do people go? Where do countries go to hold their reserves when they see that Russia's frozen $300 billion is actually starting to be sent back to Ukraine, which is what the Belgium has actually said. The interest on what has been earned on those assets will go back to Ukraine. Foreign Minister said so. The EU is debating just that at the moment. Belgium's gone that way. It's likely the rest will, particularly who we've got at the head of the European Commission, a certain German lady. What we're going into from 2025 for the next 7 odd years, rolling recessions, if not depression, accompanied by internal conflicts within countries, and probably by 2030, America seeing that its hegemony is at stake, particularly the dollar-dominated world, as the BRICS starts to, by 2025, starts to accelerate de-dollarization. What do empires normally do? They use their last resources, and that means war.
The BRICS alliance, originally consisting of 5 member countries, has now expanded to include 9 members in 2024. The primary aim of the alliance is to bring about a fundamental transformation in the global financial sector, focusing on empowering developing nations and creating a new world order. BRICS has attracted the interest of other developing countries who see the alliance as a vehicle for strengthening their economies and promoting their local currencies. Mzuvukile Jeff Makatuka, the South African ambassador to Russia, has confirmed that as many as 25 additional countries are eager to join BRICS and have expressed interest in becoming members. A decision on their inclusion will be made at the next BRICS summit, which is scheduled to take place in October 2024 in the Kazan region of Russia. What factors drive this interest, and how might their inclusion impact the alliance's objectives and operations? Share your thoughts in the comments section. If the video resonates with you, join our community by subscribing to our channel and enabling notifications with the bell icon. Thank you for being a part of our community.